Good morning, all. Welcome to the DURGASOFT Institute for AWS training. So I am Chaitanya. Sorry for the delay. Actually, I have to close another class and I need to continue with this. So yeah, when we coming back to this, so we are about to discuss about AWS concepts. What is AWS? Before you learn what is meant by AWS, first you need to understand what is cloud and why we require cloud. So we will discuss about all of those things. I just want any one or two persons introduction. Introduction in the sense, I don't want your educational background and all the things. I just want your name and why, who suggested you to learn cloud? Is there any requirement for you to learn cloud, or else did anybody suggested you, or else in your company, do you have the requirement? Your company will ask you to learn the cloud sometimes. So what is the necessity of coming, like having this course?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Someshwar. Actually, I want to switch my company and a lot of opening I can see on the AWS now. Java plus AWS is the requirement currently. That's why I want to learn it.
Yeah. Okay. Any another? So you.
Hello.
Yes,
yeah, so I am having around 12 years experience. So now I was working in legacy technology like Linux, Hadoop, and Python. So
okay.
and we are migrating our infrastructure in AWS for cost effectiveness and other purposes. So that's why I want to also learn AWS to support in, to our organization in migrating those.
Okay. Okay, fine. So to support your organization, you want to learn AWS. Any another? Any another person? Okay. So let me introduce myself. I am Chaitanya. I'm having 12 plus years of experience as a system administrator, and I'm into the trainings from 2013. I used to train for Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft Windows administration, Windows 2008, 2012, 2016, 2019, and 2000 latestly, currently 2022 also. With that, I also train the candidates for, or train the students for this AWS cloud certifications, and not only AWS, I will train the students on AWS DevOps and Kubernetes entire cloud infrastructure. So again, I'm saying I will train the students on the cloud infrastructure. I am not a developer, first of all. I'm completely into system administration side. So as a developer, of course, when I say this, obviously, I will get a question. Sir, as a developer, what is my role to learn this cloud technology? If you are a developer, for developer perspective, if you want to get the logs, where you will store the logs, obviously you have to store the logs on S3. You have to monitor your applications. CloudWatch is helpful for you. And you need to get the notification for from your server. SNS will be helping for you. Like that, there are different tools that will be helpful for you, services that will be helpful for you. And here we are not going to discuss about big data. Again, what we are discussing and what we are not discussing, I'm just telling you so that you can have a clarity. So only introduction to Redshift will be there. So in depth, no institute will provide the in detailed analysis of Redshift in the cloud technologies. So only basics will be provided, Redshift, and then we will be going further into different types of services. So that is what I'm going to provide. And the next one is, whenever you see the path to learn, there are some few candidates who are working employees who are working in some organizations, and there will be some of the people or some of the students or some of the trainees who doesn't know what is the path to learn the cloud. Some one of their friend will suggest them to learn the cloud, or else some of the relatives will get a very good job in cloud technology. So the parents will compile the students to learn the cloud, and eventually they will dive into the cloud technology. So what they will think here is, okay, so my parents said that I have to learn cloud. My friend said that I have to learn cloud, or else my relative said that I have to learn cloud. Why? Because they are earning a fancy amount, so I can also earn the fancy amount. So don't take it as so serious that somebody said and you have to do that. So take serious if you want to learn the cloud. So the learning of cloud starts from having a basic knowledge on Linux. If you are having the basic knowledge on Linux, then why I have to know the knowledge on Linux? Why? Because it's a lightweight operating system. Okay, lightweight means not about the physical weightage, but about the operating system I am talking. So we don't require heavy resources for the Linux operating system. We just require a minimal components. And the next one is security. The most important feature of Linux is it is a highly secured operating system. It's a highly secured operating system. And most number of the workloads in the cloud technology, whatever the workloads that we take, either workloads in the sense any application deployments or also any servers that are there inside the cloud technology. I'm not talking only about AWS. I'm not talking about only Azure. I'm taking the entire AWS and Azure into the picture. Okay, so AWS or Azure, I'm taking both. So any cloud technology, the maximum 90% of the workloads are the Linux workloads. The applications which you are running, each and every application will be running on the Linux operating system. So definitely you need to have a basic understanding about Linux operating system. So here I will train you on only AWS. So Linux, you need to search in any another. You can go through the videos from the YouTube, or else you can go through the just basics is more than enough. You can get the basic from anywhere for free of cost. If you want in-depth analysis, if you want the administration part, then only you have to join in the Linux sessions. But as of now, you don't require all those things. Basics, if you want basics, then you don't need to have. Then you don't need to what I can say, pay any fees for the Linux operating system basic analysis. You can get everything, basic commands from any YouTube videos also, you can get it out. So the next one is, once you have a basic understanding about the Linux operating system, again, I'm stressing it out, basic analysis of Linux operating system, then we can go further into the learning cloud, AWS and Azure. You can learn. So any one of the cloud technology, I am not specifically saying you have to learn only AWS or else you have to learn only Azure. So there are some differences between AWS and Azure. AWS and Azure. The main thing here is AWS is completely a user-friendly cloud console. Whatever the console access that you are getting. For example, if I go back to my AWS, simply I will log into my AWS account. So if you are having an account, you can create your own servers. We will discuss about that in depth. But if you see here, when I click on sign into console, simply the console will be looking like this. This is how your console. What is your requirement from services? If you want from services, you can get from. If you are very professional level, you are having a professional knowledge, then you can go to the services, and from the services, you can get the services, whatever the required services are there. Or else you can search from here if you want S3 or else EC2. You are just a beginner. If you are just a beginner, if you want to learn something, simply you can access the console. Wherever you are accessing the console, you can see instances, instance type. So it is very easy to access the console in AWS. Okay, but when you go to the Azure, I will not say that it is tough, but Azure is completely a professional friendly. So whoever are having a very good knowledge in working with Azure, they can easily work it out. But AWS is not like that. AWS, if you have a minimum basic understanding about what is AWS, it is very easy for you to understand. And one more thing is, in AWS, the subscription is very easy. Whatever the subscriptions that you are purchasing, free-tier subscription or else paid. So the subscription is very easy in AWS. But when you go to the Azure, there will be different types of subscriptions, free subscription, and you want to create any subscription, you can create the subscription. So Azure is something tricky for you, but AWS is a little bit easier for you when you compare with the Azure. And the resources point of view, if you see here, in AWS, we will call VPC. In AWS, we will call VPC. What is this VPC? We will discuss about that later. But in Azure, it is called as VNet. The same resource which we use in Azure, it is called as VNet. In AWS, we will call the servers as EC2 instances. But when you go to the Azure, they are called as VMs, virtual machines. In AWS, we will call the storage as S3. But when you go to Azure, that is called as blob. So only there is a name difference, but the functionality, but the backend functionality is same in AWS and as well as in the Azure. So you don't need to worry about whether the resources are different. No, the resources are same. The terminology is different. Only terminology is different. But maximum number of people, 70% of the world, or 65 to 70% of the world is looking forward to learn AWS, looking to work with AWS only. Why? Because of the user friendliness and as well as there are different another reasons why we are going for the AWS. So there are some limitations with the Azure. So if you see in India, 50% of the workloads are on AWS consoles and 40% of the workloads on the Azure consoles. So there is a difference. So only a little bit of difference is there in between AWS and Azure in India. But when you go all around the world, majority part is taken care by AWS only. It is the whole majority number of shareholds are holded by your AWS only. So that is the reason I request you to learn any one of the cloud. I am not suggesting that you have to learn only AWS or else you have to learn only Azure. Whichever is comfortable for you, learn the cloud first. Okay, infrastructure, understand the infrastructure. So again, I will get a questions from the developer. Sir, as a developer, do we need to understand this infrastructure? Of course, you need to understand the infrastructure. Why? Because whenever you are creating in DevOps, you will be using multiple tools like Git, Docker, Jenkins, Ansible, and Maven is generally a developer tool. So like this, you will be using multiple tools to make a use of all those things, all those tools. Definitely, you need to have a basic understanding about the infrastructure. Git, for Git, you don't require, but for the next couple of tools like Jenkins and as well as for Jenkins and as well as Docker and Ansible, definitely you need to have the understanding about infrastructure. So you need to learn infrastructure by learning the cloud. So if you directly dive into the DevOps, in DevOps, what you will be learning? In DevOps, you will be learning multiple tools. Okay, how to integrate the development and operations team. So here you comes the operations. But when you jump into the DevOps, what they will say, whenever you want to create a Docker, if you want to create a Docker, so what the administrator will say, you create an EC2 instances in the VPC so that you can install the Docker. So first of all, if you don't know what is meant by VPC, what is meant by an EC2 instance, then how you will create or how you will install the package. So it is very difficult for you. And as well as if you want to save anything, you need to log into the consoles and you need to access the EC2 instances. So if you don't have any basic knowledge on EC2 and AWS, obviously you will be coming back into the cloud technologies. If you are trying to learn DevOps also at a particular point of time, you will find it very hard to learn DevOps and definitely will come back and learn the cloud technologies. So my recommendation is that go with the path, go with the flow. The flow is first learn Linux. If you are having a very good knowledge on Linux, basic knowledge on Linux, then go to the cloud technologies. Once you have completed the cloud technologies, then go for the DevOps. And after completing DevOps course, then you can learn Kubernetes. Sir, what you are saying, Kubernetes is also a part of DevOps. You are saying separately. Of course, it is a part of DevOps, but Kubernetes is a very vast topic. It is not a simple topic like Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, or also Git. It is not a very simple topic. It is a very huge topic where you have to understand each and every concept in depth. So Kubernetes is completely used in the production environment. There will be two environments. There will be three environments in your, what I can say, product life cycle. Okay, in your software life cycle, you will be having three different types of environments. One is development, testing, and production. So Kubernetes is mainly used in the production grade. Okay, we will not use Kubernetes in the development environment. In development environment, you can use the Docker. But when you go to the production grade, definitely you have to use the Kubernetes. So my recommendation is that after completing your DevOps, try to learn Kubernetes. So to get the job, if at all, if you have knowledge on these three things, that's more than enough to get a job. You can easily crack the job. And after getting the job, you can learn Kubernetes. I am not saying you to learn Kubernetes right away, but try to learn Kubernetes after the completion of your courses. And if you get the job, then join in the Kubernetes sessions. And after completing the Kubernetes session, still you are eager to learn the cloud, then learn Azure. If you learn AWS here, learn Azure. If you learn Azure there, learn AWS here. Okay. So this is the way you have to learn the cloud technologies. So, and it is recommended to have the cross cloud platform knowledge. Cross cloud platform in the sense both clouds, Azure and AWS. Why? Because there is no another chance to get rejected by rejected your resume. So nobody can reject your resume if you are having cross cloud platform and you are having knowledge on DevOps and you are having knowledge on Kubernetes. So your resume will be shortlisted at any point of time. So that is what I want to say about the way how to learn the cloud. And if you are still interested to learn, go for GCP. Finally, try to learn Python. So any one of the coding language. I said Python. If you are interested to learn Java, you can learn Java also. Any one coding language is the necessity for the DevOps engineer. So that is how you have to learn your cloud technologies. So, and don't ask me that, sir, if I learn only AWS, can't I get a job? No, you can't get a job only with the simple cloud technology. Definitely you need to have a knowledge on DevOps also. Without knowledge on DevOps, you cannot get any job. Okay, so that is what I want to say. And any questions here? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Now the next one is, so once you have completed this, and then, so I think that I have given you a clarity about how to learn cloud. And the next one is, what is meant by cloud? Why we need to go for cloud? Any professionals who are working, can you say why we have to move to cloud? What is the necessity of moving into the cloud?
It's like without owning the infrastructure and on demand basis, we can use service. Like I can provide one example, right? We are supporting like market data. So our service, those are for US. So for APAC and EMEA hours, India hours and Europe hours, the servers are not running. So we don't need the servers for like 15 hours. And only for 9 hours we need the servers. So in that case, like 15 hours, the servers are sitting idle. Okay. So means on demand basis, we can use the cloud.
I understand that. So why cloud?
To available the microservices, minimal services, we don't need to set up the environment. We can have the short services from the cloud.
Okay, you can have the microservice, so the simple services from the cloud. Okay, nice answers.
Yeah.
But when you're coming back to the next one, first of all, those who doesn't know why cloud, why we need to use the cloud, I will give you a short example so that you can get a clarity about why we have to move into the cloud. So when cloud was introduced into the IT world, can anybody say this? When cloud was introduced into the IT world, what is the base of the cloud technology? What is the base of cloud? When cloud was introduced, so everybody knows that AWS started in the year 2006 and Azure started in the year 2010. Now, if AWS and Azure are started in the years 2006 and 2010, what is there before 2006? How we are able to access our web application? Do you remember any one website, one e-commerce website before 2006? Do you have any idea?
eBay.
eBay is the only e-commerce website which will provide you the access, which is like working as an e-commerce website. And apart from that, no another e-commerce website is there. And if there is also, they are not very popular. Like nowadays, very small companies are also getting into the e-commerce world. But how? Because of this cloud. But before cloud, what is there? Before cloud, do we have these many number of websites? We cannot say that. So what is happening here? Now, first of all, you need to understand how cloud functionalities are, or else, first of all, you need to understand what is the entire IT, how IT will work. So if you see here, so what I want to tell you here is, in general, there are two types of companies. One is IT service-based company and non-IT service companies. So IT service-based companies are the companies which will provide the services for the customers. Which type of services? IT services. IT service company. Okay, so can you give an example? TCS, Infosys, these are all comes under the IT service company. Why I am saying you this? Because you have a note, these names are noticed for you, so I am telling you this. There are so many another companies, small industries are so many are there, small IT companies are there, but these companies are noted for you, so I am representing that. So this is about your IT service company, which will provide the IT services for the clients. And now there is another type of companies, that those are the non-IT companies. So what are these non-IT companies? Do you know in pandemic which sector is earning a lot? IT company, No.
Medical.
Health and insurance.
Healthcare.
Exactly. So you are having banking sector and healthcare industries or healthcare non-IT services are very goodly. They earn very good fancy amounts. Okay. So what are those? Banks and hospitals. They earn very fancy amounts. Now, what does that mean? So now this non-IT sector, whatever the service companies are there, either it might be banks and hospitals, what they are going to do. So for the user friendliness, for the ease of users, what they will do. So they will go to the IT service company for developing an application. Now, what this banks will do, the employees in the bank doesn't know what is IT actually. So they know only accounts. They don't know. Of course, nowadays everyone is having knowledge on IT. But anyways, whoever are working in the banks, like accountants or also whoever are working in the banks or else hospitals, the doctors, so they don't know how to create an application, how to create a server, how to deploy the application into the server. So what they will do, they will tie up with an IT service company. They will tie up with an IT service company. The best example is SBI is every time it is getting tied up with TCS. So in the same manner, this non-banking sector or non-IT sector companies will tie up with the IT service companies for developing the applications. Now, one of the bank will approach the IT service company and they will ask the company to develop an application. So the IT service company will give the project. So everybody, every time now and then we will hear the words, we will hear the words called as projects, clients. So here this non-IT service companies are called as clients and projects are nothing but their requirements. Which type of application they require, those are all comes under the projects. Now this IT service company will assign the project to the whatever the environment or the developers are there, they will provide the projects to them. Now what developers will do, first of all, developer will research and analyze the requirement. So there is a development team. This development team will research and analyze the requirements. What user is requesting. So user is requesting which type of application. So for that application, which type of database I have to use and which type of runtime I have to use. Runtime is nothing but which type of language, whether I have to go for Python language, Java language, or else any another language, Go language. Like that, there are so many different types of language. Depending upon any language, which language I have to go. So the development team will analyze that. Once the development team analyzes that, they will assign this or else they will start doing they will start building the application. The first phase is research phase, and after researching about the application requirement, okay, after researching the application requirements, then they will start building the application, which means nothing but developing the application. Once they have developed the application, they will forward the application to the testing team. They will forward the application to the testing team for bug analysis. Is there are any bugs? If there is any bugs, then obviously the application will be sent back to the development team and they have to rectify the bugs and they need to send it back to the testing team. Again, analysis, bug report, sending back to the development team and they have to rectify the bugs, again sending to the testing team. Like that, it will be continuously happening. So once the testing team will approve the application, okay, now the application is very good for going into the production environment. Now this application, whatever the application they have developed, that application will be forwarded to the operations team. The application will be forwarded to the operations team, or else I can simply call them as administration team. Now here comes the problem. Okay, what are the problems? What are the limitations that the operation team has to work? So whatever I am saying, what are the infrastructure that I am saying, this entire infrastructure is before cloud. Try to understand, is before cloud. Before cloud was into the picture, I am discussing about that. Okay, so now what this administration team will do, admin team will do, they will take up the application. When they take up the application, first of all, they will test, or they will try to deploy the application on a test servers. Okay, once they have tested the application on the test servers, they will analyze that. So whether there is any version difference, whether the application is working fine or not. For example, the development team can build their application on Java, suppose Java language. Okay, They have developed the application on Java language, that is version 1.11. Okay, this is the version which which development team is using. And when you come to the operations team, whatever the servers that they are having, inside the servers, they will have only 1.8. They will have the Java version 1.8. And if you see here, the Java version is 11. So there will be a version difference. The operations team will find out a version difference so that the application will not properly running. Again, they will send back the application to the development team and saying that this is the problem. So the development team has to rectify the problem and that need to be sent back. So these are all the things that will be happening in a cycle. Now, each and every problem is cleared out. Then what they will do, they will go for the user acceptance testing. So they will check out this application with the user requirement, whether the user requirement is satisfied. Can I deploy that into the production environment? Why? Because this application does not belong to the IT service company. The application belongs to whom? The application belongs to the banking sector or hospitals or any another sectors, any another non-IT companies. So they have to approve that the application is okay. We can go further into the production environment. Production environment means making that application available to the end users. So now what is going to happen? So this UAT testing will be done. User acceptance testing will be done. Once the user is accepted the application, then the application will be moved into the production environment. So then the application will be moved into the production environment. Once it is moved into the production environment, this application will be available for the entire customers all around the world. So whoever is having the internet, they can access the application. So here, this is the entire process which is happening. This is the entire process which is happening whenever you are creating any application and making the application come into the production environment. First is development phase. In development phase, research, build, testing, and then UAT, and then production. So if you can see, these are the 5 major steps that you have to follow. In between that, you will be having so many different steps, and you have to use tools for the steps also. Now this application is live and it is available for the end user. So this is how you can get the application live. But here the problem is not about developing the application. So the developer can, I am not saying that he can easily build the application. He has to find some logics and he has to build the application. Here I am not saying that the developer's work is very easy, but the work of developer is within his laptop only or else within his desktop only. He doesn't need to work with the servers. What happens here, if the application, when the application came into the production environment or came to the administrators, then the problem occurs. First of all, to deploy this application, they need to have a physical server. I'm not talking about the cloud and I am not talking about the virtualization. Just now I'm talking about the on-premises environment. So within the office, on-premises in the sense within the office. Now they need to have a server. They need to have a physical server. Inside this, first of all, they have to purchase the server. They need to quote. First, they need to quote a, what I can say, a vendor. So there will be Dell servers, HP servers, like that. There will be different types of vendors will be there. And they have to communicate with the vendors and they need to get the servers into the on-premises, which means into the company. When they get the servers into the company, they have to install the servers, and after installing the servers, they have to install the operating system and required packages, whatnot. You have to do each and everything. Once you have done that, then what you need to do? You need to configure the network manually. Before cloud, everybody has to manually configure the network. They have to create the switches, routers, and network cables. With the help of this, they have to connect the network to the servers. And they need to monitor the network, whether whatever the data that is entering into the network is a safe and secure data, or else is there any malicious traffic that is entering into the network, and is there any disconnection of network. These are all the things has to be managed by the administrators, and server administrator has to manage each and every server on daily basis, whether the application is performing good, or is there any sudden spikes in the resource performance, or else is there any problem with the resources like CPU and RAM. So each and everything should be monitored and maintained and managed by the system administrators, where here you will find out a lot of manual interruptions. Okay, a lot of manual interference. So each and every employee who is working as an administrator in the data centers, they have to work 24/7. Why? Because we don't know it. Suddenly the application load will be increased. So each and every administrator has to work 24/7 by monitoring all these services, servers, and all the things. So this is the main problem with the on-premises environment. Managing, monitoring, and maintaining is the main problem. So if you want to maintain, and each and every server, whatever you are deploying in your company, that servers are not long lasted. So each and every object will have an expiry date. In the same manner, your server may be working for 5 years, and after 5 years you have to maintain the servers, which means you need to remove the old resources, you need to remove the RAM and install the new RAMs, and you need to remove the CPU and install the new CPU sometimes. So you need to maintain that. So maintenance should be there. So for each and every object, like network objects like routers, switches, and server objects like servers and resources, each and everything has to be maintained. That should be done manually. So if you see, these are all the limitations with the on-premises environment. But the thing here is, what is the main advantage with the on-premises? You can configure whatever you want to configure. How you want to configure, you can configure that. In this particular part, I don't want this application to be running. So you can configure that. You will have more and more free hands-on. Okay, you don't need to worry about this particular object or else this server will be created in this particular data center, or else this server will have only this version of what I can say operating system. So you don't need to stick to one particular thing. You are having a free hands. You can do whatever you want to do. That is the main thing with the on-premises. But the problems are so many. What are the problems? As I already said you that you have to manually monitor and maintain the servers. And the second thing here is flexibility. Flexibility in the sense, for example, my IT service company is providing the servers, or else my IT service company is providing the application access to some of the e-commerce websites. Okay, or else e-commerce companies like Amazon or else Flipkart, like that, they are providing the services to those companies. When my IT services companies are providing what I can say application for those companies, see, suddenly what happens, Flipkart will announce the big billion day sales. Amazon will announce the great Indian sales. Of course, the products, whatever they are displaying, the cost is same only, but still they will make you to purchase by creating some sales. Whenever they create the sales, what happens about the load? Whether the load will be less or the load will be increased. Huge amount of load will be applied onto the servers. Yes or no? In normal days, and when you compare to the sale days, whenever there is a sale, between these 2 days, on which date you will have the load?
Sale dates.
On the sale days, you will have huge load on the servers. When on the sale days, if the load on the servers is very huge, so what I have to do? I have to increase the server resources, or else I have to increase the servers. Why? Because if the load meets the threshold of the server, threshold means the maximum capacity of the server, and after that also the load is coming to the server will be hanged out. For example, if you are riding a bike, your bike speed is somewhere like the maximum speed will be around some 100 kilometers, but your meter speed, your bike meter will show you around 140 kilometers. So if you want to reach to that maximum level, you have to cross the threshold. Okay, maximum capacity. When you reach the threshold, and after that also still you are giving the accelerator, at a point of time the bike will stop running. The bike will be damaged. So in the same manner here also, what is going to happen? This particular server will have a threshold capacity to withstand for the load. If the threshold is overcome, if still the load is applied on the server, at a particular point, the server will be hanged out. The server will stop working. The application will not be available for the end users. So to overcome this problem, what I have to do? I have to install one more server. So the load will be distributed among the 2 servers with the help of some load balancers. We will be creating some load balancers that I will tell you in the later on part. But as of now, what is happening here? The load on the server will be increased. So to overcome this problem, I will create one more server so that the load will be shared between the servers. So what is happening? The servers will be working fine. And after the sale, when the load is decreased, when the load is becoming minimal, so do I require this newly created server? Do I require this? After the entire sale is completed, do I require this? The servers will
No.
sit ideal. The servers will sit ideal and we don't have any usage with this servers. Again, when I have to use them, whenever I announce another sale, then only I have to use the servers. So what about the pricing? So one server will cost you around minimum of 3 lakhs. Minimum of 3 lakhs I have to pay and purchase a server. That to be one-time investment. It is only for 7 days. In a year, I have to use the servers only for 7 days. So it will be cost effective, right? So maximum expense, it is more expensive. So this is one of the problem. And flexibility in the sense, if you don't want the servers in cloud, I can remove the servers, and if I want to increase the servers, I can increase the servers. And the next one is pay as you go. Pay as you go in the sense, see here, if I purchase this server, the server I have to pay 3 lakhs rupees or 4 lakhs rupees entire amount at upfront, totally in advance. But in the cloud, what will be happening in cloud? Pay for the servers, for how much time you are using the servers, you have to pay only for that. For example, there are some servers like T2 medium. There is a server every time that I am using, that is T2 medium. This servers will cost you around somewhere 4 rupees. 4 rupees per hour. Okay, so I am using the servers only for 8 hours. 8 for the 32 rupees. Only 32 rupees you have to pay. Only 32 rupees you have to pay for 8 hours. And after 8 hours, you are not working with the servers, you are shutting down the servers. Then you don't need to pay for the servers, but you need to pay for the storage, but you don't need to pay for the servers. So the servers will not, the servers, if when you shut down the servers, you don't need to pay for them. Whenever you are working, only for working hours, you have to pay for the servers. So this is called as pay as you go. Pay as you go. This will not applicable only for the servers, for the entire resources. Whatever the services that you are utilizing, if they are chargeable, only pay for how many hours that you are utilizing, pay for them. If you are not using them, you don't need to pay for them. Okay, that is called as pay as you go. So these, whatever the limitations that you are facing on the on-premises, whatever the limitations that you are facing on the on-premises, like maintaining, monitoring, and all the things, all these are overcome by your cloud environment. When you go to the cloud, the cloud will take care of your physical infrastructure. So you don't need to worry about your network, you don't need to worry about your servers, you don't need to worry about the storage. Entire thing will be taken care by your cloud environment. So only thing that you need to worry is about your application, whether the application is performing fine or not, whether there are any sudden spikes in the application accessibility, whether there is any high utilization of CPUs happening for that application or not. So these are all the things that you need to check. Okay, so simply you have to monitor your application. So you don't need to worry about your physical servers and physical networking components. Only you have to worry about your application. So that is the reason why majority number of companies are migrating towards the cloud. The first one is the limitations of on-premises can be overcome by your cloud. And the second one is flexibility. At any point of time, you can increase the servers. At any point of time, you can decrease the servers. And the next one is cost, pay as you go. How many hours you use the servers, that many number of hours you can use that many number of hours you can pay for the servers. So these are the things you need to understand why we are going for the cloud. Okay, so that is the reason why we are migrating to the cloud. Now you understand why we are migrating to the cloud. Any questions?
No question from my.
Okay, any another questions from any other persons?
No.
Okay, so that's about your cloud, why we need to go for cloud. The next one is what is the base of the cloud. Now this so on-premises environment are having these many number of problems. So the first thing is server, physical servers, and all the things. Now what they have done, so and one more thing is, in one physical server you can run only one application. So one application related database, one application related services, and all the things. So for example, if I am having huge amount of resources are there on this server, for example, I am having a server of some 128 GB of RAM and 8 CPU, 128 GB and 8 CPU. So, but the application is using only 32 GB. What about the remaining space? What about the remaining space? whether you can use it. So the application will not be used. The remaining resources will sit idle. So no use of those resources. So then there is no optimization of the servers. To make the optimization of the servers, what we are doing, we are going for the concept called as virtualization. What is this virtualization? Virtualization is a technique, or else it's a what I can say, it's a technology where your physical server is going to divide into multiple virtual machines, multiple virtual servers. Okay, and you can install all your applications onto that servers, and you can run the physical server at the optimal stage. Okay, at the optimal condition. So which means that, for example, I am having a server. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Anything you want to say?
No, sorry.
Okay, mute yourself. I'm having a physical server. Physical server. And this physical server is having somewhere like 128 GB of RAM and somewhere like 8 CPU. Okay. So on this physical server, what I can do, I can run, because of this huge resources, what I can do, I can run multiple applications. But in some IT service companies, they will run only one application on the physical server. They will not run multiple applications. Okay, why? Because if the load is increased, then what we have to do? So what is happening here? The remaining resources will be sitting idle. So the application requires only somewhere like 16 GB of RAM, and only one CPU is required. But what about the remaining conditions? And remaining resources will not be working with that. So now what I am going to do here is, a new technology called as virtualization came into the picture. What is meant by virtualization? So if you see virtualization uses software to create an abstract layer over the computer hardware that allows the hardware elements of a single computer, processor, memory, and storage, and more, to divide into multiple virtual computers, commonly called as virtual machines. So if you see, if I have to show you example, now if you can see, this is my desktop. This is my computer, or this is my laptop which I am using. And if you see, the resources of my laptop is some 16 GB of RAM is there, 16 GB of RAM, and some 3 gigahertz of processor is working with this. Now what I can do here is, there is a software called as VMware. VMware is a virtualization tool which helps you to run multiple virtual machines. So now what I can do, so what is virtualization? Virtualization will create a layer on the hardware level. So on your hardware device, it is going to create a layer. On that layer, it is going to install, we can install our virtual machines. So I am running some of the virtual machines. So here I am having Windows Server 2019. So if you can see, what is my base operating system? The base operating system is Windows 11. But by using the virtual machines, what I can do here is, I can run the Windows 10 and I can run Windows Server 2009. If I want, I can run my Linux operating system also. So that what is going to happen, the resources will be optimizedly used. So whatever the resources that your physical servers are having, those resources are optimizedly used. And as well as, you can run multiple applications in the multiple operating systems. So when I am running my operating systems, or else whenever I am creating the virtualization, so this virtualization will help you to work with the multiple operating systems also. So these are all the uses of the virtualization. Now what is happening in the back end? So this is your physical server. Now on the physical server, what we are going to do, we are going to create a software, or else an abstract layer, that is called as VMware or virtualization techniques. So there are two types of virtualizations. In general, in IT service companies, there are two types of virtualizations. One is bare metal virtualization, and the second one is hosted virtualization. If you see here, what is meant by bare metal virtualization? First of all, I will have some physical hardware like CPU, RAM, whatnot. So basically, I will take CPU and RAM. Of course, storage is also there. CPU, RAM, and storage. These are the basic components of each and every computer or server. Now, what I am going to do here is, I will install a virtualization software called as VMware ESXi without any operating system also. Without any operating system also, you can run the virtualized software. Here I am taking VMware ESXi. Here you can also take, there are a few more softwares like Citrix Gen. or else Citrix also one of the virtualization software. So here I am taking VMware, ESXi, or Citrix. Okay, these are the different types of virtualization softwares which you will be using on directly on the hardware, on your physical hardware, like an operating system, you can use them. On that, what I can do here is I can create a virtual machine. This virtual machine will be working with Windows. Which environment? This virtual machine may be working with the Windows environment, and another virtual machine will be created with the Linux environment, Ubuntu, or I can call them as Red Hat. So these operating system will be running on the another virtualization, another virtual machine. On to that, what you can do here is you can create your applications. You can create your applications, app1. Okay. Here also you can create your own application. So on the Ubuntu machine also you can run. So this application will have dependency saying that I need to run. So the application need to run on only on the Windows server. And there will be another dependency that this application has to run on the Ubuntu server only. Now, if you see here, I am having a single server, but when you see this diagram on a single physical server, you can run multiple virtual machines. I am just showing you two only, but you can run multiple virtual machines. So this is called as bare metal virtualization. Whatever you are seeing here, this is called as bare metal virtualization. Bare metal. Okay. So come on. Hold on. Okay. This is called as bare metal virtualization. Now, next one is hosted virtualization. What I am saying, hosted virtualization. What is meant by hosted virtualization? You will have your hardware resources like CPU and RAM. And on that, what you are going to do here is you are going to install an operating system, CPU, RAM, and storage. On that, what you are going to do, you are going to install your operating system. Either it might be Windows, Linux, and Mac, whatnot. So here I will install some operating systems. Like what I can say, this is the OS. Windows, Linux, any operating system you will install. Now, after installing the operating system, what you are going to do here is you are going to work with, or else you are going to install a software. So you will be installing a software. Right now on my system, I am having VMware Workstation. Like that, you can also use here. What are the different softwares you can use? VMware Workstation. And the next one is what I can say, VBox, VirtualBox. Citrix is a bare metal kind of software. Of course, you can use Citrix also, but there is one more thing like KVM, kernel-based virtual machines, which will be helpful for you in the Linux operating system. So these are all the virtualization techniques which you will use on the hosted virtualization. On this, what you can do, you can run your virtual machines. As now I am running my virtual machines in the same manner. You can run your virtual machine. See here, right now what is happening here, if you can see. So I'm running my, this is my Windows 10. This is my Windows 10 server, Windows 10 client machine, and here I am having Windows Server 2019 server machine. So whatever the machines that you want, you can run. So whatever the applications that you want to run, you can run on these servers. Now, if you can see, I have installed some VMs. This is my VM1, and I am having another virtual machine. This is my VM2. And if you want, you can create one more virtual machine also. And this is my VM3, VM2, and the next one is VM3. Like this, I can use. Yeah, 3. On this virtual machines, what you can do, you can run your applications. Whatever the applications that you want, you can run your applications on this virtual machines. So why I am telling all this virtualization technology now? Why? Because the backend of your entire cloud will works on the virtualization only. Whatever the servers that you deploy in the cloud, so that is those servers are the virtualized servers only. App1, App2, and app3. So this is my hosted virtualization. Whatever you are seeing here, this is my, what I can call it as, it is my hosted virtualization. Okay, hosted virtualization. Now, this is the main difference between hosted virtualization and what I can call the bare metal virtualization. Maximum in companies, you will use the bare metal virtualization. If you are having a client mission, if you are having just a laptop, you can go for the hosted virtualization. Okay, right now, what is the virtualization that I am using in my computer? What is the virtualization that I am using?
Bare metal.
Sorry?
Hosted
virtualization. I am using the hosted virtualization. So that is about your different types of virtualizations. Now, whatever the servers that you are running on the running on the AWS, they will follow this virtualization. Now, whatever the instances that you are creating in the your cloud, they will follow this bare metal virtualization. So they will use VMware ESXi or Citrix depending upon the cloud service provider. So he will choose which virtualization he has to select, or else he will develop his own virtualization also. Now, if you can see, I am having a server in my account. So where is this? If I go to the EC2. Now this server is the virtualization server, virtualized server. We don't have an access to the physical servers. We have only access towards the virtual servers. Where these virtual servers are created? Actually, the virtual servers are created into the physical servers. Now, where the physical servers are created? Physical servers are created in the data center. Now, what is meant by a data center? Here you need to understand this point. Now, but before going to this point, what is the base of your cloud? The entire cloud technology is depending upon the virtualization. So virtualization is the base for your entire cloud technology. Did you understand the point here? Any questions? Do you have any questions?
So only difference, only difference I can understand that in bare metal virtualization, we don't have OS installed on the physical machine, and
Exactly.
on hosted virtualization, we have pre-installed OS.
Exactly. That is the only difference.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if I have to show you one more thing here, there are some questions which you posted on your chat box. I will reply on that. So what I will do, bare metal versus hosted hypervisor. Look into this. Type 1 hypervisor and type 2 hypervisor. So what is the difference? Hardware, hypervisor, guest OS. Here you can say hardware, host OS, hypervisor on that guest OS. The same you can see here. Okay, there is no more difference between that. Okay. So that's about your virtualization, and whatever the virtualization that you are using on the cloud is completely the bare metal virtualization. Maximum cloud will be using the bare metal virtualization. Now, here you need to understand the next one is up to now, whatever we have discussed, we discussed about the cloud. And as it is a first class, just I will go through some of the things. So this is what I will stop here in the technical aspect. I will stop here. Tomorrow we will discuss about the data center architecture, types of cloud, and services. Okay, service models, and later on we will discuss a few more topics. But before that, there are some questions which I got in the chat box. What is that? Coding required for the AWS administration? Not required. No coding language is involved into this. Neither Python nor Java. You don't need to have a coding knowledge. It's a coding free area. Okay. And the next one, what certification we can do after completing this code, like cloud practitioner, solution architect, etc. See, when you see here, if you come to the certificates, AWS certificates, we are having practitioner, and then we are having associate, and then we are having professional, and then we are having specialization. So practitioner, in the sense, it's a basic level. If you are having a basic understanding about the cloud technologies, that's more than enough to crack the certification. And so many people who are attended for these classes, they have easily cracked out the certification, and they themselves said that we have cracked the certification without any help. And the second one is associate level. Associate level, in the sense, in associate level, you will be having 3 different types of certifications. One is architect associate level, and the second one is architect developer level, and associate developer level, and the third one is sysops associate. Okay, these are the 3 different certificates you will have. Among this, you can clear out the architect associate level certification by completing the course. And when you get a job, and after working in the company for 2 to 3 years, or else 1 to 2 years, then you can go for the professional level certification. There are 2 types of certifications: sysops professional and DevOps professional. Among those, developer professional. Among these 2, whatever the certification that you want to do, you can do that. So, and the next one is specialization. Specialization, in the sense, if you are working with the databases, you are having database specialization, cloud database specialization specialist. And the next one is, if you are still interested in networking, network specialist, that is a certification. And the next one is machine learning certification. Machine learning specialization is there. AI specialization is there. Like that, there are different types of specializations are there. So by completing this course, you can do these 2 certifications, any one of them. You are comfortable with that. Okay, and I don't recommend you to do the practitioner. Why? Because it is not a valid certification as per my perspective. So my perspective is that, so if you are having an AWS associate architect level, that will be handy for you to get a job. Okay. So do you got the response? Do you got your answers for your questions? I hope so. And next one. So I am coming to this. So the course duration. First of all, course curriculum. If you want the course curriculum, go to DURGASOFT website. From DURGASOFT website, you can get the course curriculum. First thing is that you go to durgasoft.com. Where is this? Come on. AWS. Here you can get your course curriculum. The entire course curriculum is there. And from here, you can choose what is the topics that we are going to cover. This is the first thing. This course is completely. So what is an architect level? What is an administration? Can you differentiate administration and architect? As I don't have the knowledge on that. Okay. Can you differentiate what is meant by an administration and architect? What is the work of an administrator and what is the work of architect? So I know the differences, but I just want to understand. I just want to learn from you. Go on. See, administrator is the person who will manage the infrastructure which is pre-configured. Okay, if the infrastructure is pre-installed or else it is already there, the servers and all are available. Administrator will manage and maintain those servers. And if you see the architect is the person who will create the servers. So the course belongs to both. So here you can see architect in the sense what you are going to do. Architect in the sense you will create the VPC, you are going to create the servers, you are going to create the S3 buckets, creation, and then you will learn how to maintain them. If you understand how to create what we have created and what are the applications that are there inside that, obviously you can do the administration. So the question which I got is what I can say. Yeah, the question which I got here is, what is this one? I think I lost this. Architect and administrator. Yes, architect and administrator. It is not a proper valid question. So here A person can create the resources, and whoever has created the resources, he can manage the resources. The manageability, the person who is managing the resources is called as an administrator, and the person who created the resources is called as an architect. And one more thing is, directly you will not directly jump into the architect level. First of all, when you are entering into the cloud, any cloud job, the engineers or else anybody will not throw you into the architect level. Why? Because you need to gain the experience. You need to understand what is cloud and how cloud servers will be there. After gaining an experience of 3 to 5 years of experience, then only after seeing your work, then they will promote you as an architect. You need to understand the entire cloud environment, what will be there, and you need to understand the user requirement. So nobody will directly become as an architect. First of all, you need to understand the user requirement. So user is requesting to have a application like this. When he want the application like this, then what is the how many servers I have to create, and what is the VPC that I have to create, and how many servers I have to create, followed by what is the load balances that I have to create, and followed by what is the auto scaling methodology that I have to do, followed by what is the S3 buckets, how I have to connect the S3 bucket to my server. These are all the things will be understandable once you are working, once you get the experience, and after getting the experience only you will become as an architect. In general, when you join, you will be joining like an administrator who will manage the pre-configured infrastructure. Okay, I hope that you got your answer for your question. Do you got that? Okay, I don't think he's there, he left. So that's about your questions. And next one is, if you want to go for the next one. So course curriculum I have given, and the class duration. The class duration will be the class duration will be 10 weekends. Every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The class timings will be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, 2 hours of session will be there, and only on weekends. Okay.
Yeah, do you need recordings?
Yeah, I will come to that. So weekends and purely online, no offlines, purely online. And if you want to have any recordings, so you will get the recordings when you register with the course. You will get the recordings from the DURGASOFT. Every day, or also every session is completed within 2 to 3 hours. You will get your recordings. Don't need to worry about that. Okay, you will get your recordings. And the next one is what I want to say here: 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the course curriculum I have provided for you. Prerequisites is please try to learn Linux. Why? Because still you are having 1 week of time to start the AWS. You need to learn Linux. And the next one is you need to have a basic understanding about network. I will tell you about the networking concepts. Don't worry. What else I have to say? Online recordings will be provided for you. Anything else? Any questions? Yeah, coding is not there, guys. So you don't need to worry about the codings. Whoever are not from the developer background, so don't worry about the coding. Coding is not there.
Is it, hi sir, I just wanted to know, is it like theoretical based session, or will you be having hands-on?
Very good. It will be completely practical sessions, no theory. So if I say VPC, I will show you how to create the VPC. If I say NAT gateway, how to create the NAT gateway. If I have to say theory, AWS will be completed within some 4 weeks. I don't need to prolong the sessions. Okay. So whatever the sessions that we are doing, every session is a practical based. You have to create your AWS account, and by creating the AWS account, you have to create your servers, and you have to work hands-on, completely hands-on. Okay, no theory will be there. Am I clear?
Thank you.
Yeah. What else? I'm missing here. Yeah, the fees is 5,000 rupees for the entire course. I don't know whoever is providing this low cost, but the fees is 5,000 rupees, and you are going to get each and every damn small things also I am going to cover. So from the security perspective to the entire networking concepts and storage concepts, each and everything will be covered. So the outline, if I have to give the syllabus outline, First, we will discuss about the VPC, which will comes under the networking concepts. So you need to have the basic understanding about the network. And the next one is EC2, server concepts. Okay, so if you go for VPC, in VPC we will be having different services like VPC peering, VPC NAT gateway, VPC endpoints, VPC transit gateway, VPC VPN connections, VPC security groups like VPC firewalls. And the next one is EC2 instances. In EC2 instances, again, you will have like EC2 instances, AMIs, EBS volumes, load balancers. In load balancer, again, you will have application load balancer, network load balancer, auto scaling groups. And then we will be diving back to the Route 53 global accelerator, cloud front. And then what else I can say? We will be going with the IAM. So the next one is IAM, identity and access management. It is completely security concept. So in IAM, how to create the users, roles, and then SSO, single sign-on, Active Directory configuration, configuring the on-premises Active Directory, linking with the AWS accounts. So these are all the things that you are going to learn. And later on, we will be going with the, so IAM, after IAM, we will be going with the storage. Storage in the sense S3. We will discuss about S3, EFS, FSX, and storage gateway. These are the concepts that we are going to cover in the storage. And the next one is RDS configuration, relational databases. Here you will configure the RDS, DynamoDB, DocumentDB, Redshift. Redshift is not complete in-depth of Redshift will be there. So whoever are coming from the big data background, they will know what is meant data warehouses. They will know what is meant by Redshift. But we are not completely, so I'm not going to provide the complete in detailed analysis of Redshift, but how to configure Redshift in Amazon. I will show you that if possible. And what else? Elastic Beanstalk. And then we will be going for the AWS migration. So I don't have the servers for the AWS migration, but I will check out how to do the AWS migration also. So these are the concepts. This is the outline which we are going to learn in the upcoming 10 weeks. Remove this week. So it's completely for the demo purpose. Please forget about this week. But whatever from the next class, from the next week onwards, whatever you are learning, that will be completely your class sessions. Okay, from next week onwards, count 10 weeks. Okay, so that is what I want to share you, and that is what I want to say about each and everything about your cloud technologies. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Any questions?
Can you give us the detailed syllabus of these, whatever you written, VPC,
I already said you that search in the DURGASOFT.com. There you can find the course curriculum. I have opened the, and you got on the chat box also. Here you can see content. Clearly they have mentioned in the chat box.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Any another questions? Okay. So right now I am not finding any questions from you. So as it is an introduction class, I am stopping here. Okay. But from tomorrow onwards, you don't have, we are not going to close the session by 11:30 a.m. Now the time is 11:20, somewhere around 1.5 hours the class has commenced. Now I am not going to close the session from tomorrow on, or else from the next week onwards, we are not going to close the sessions before 12 o'clock. So by 12 o'clock, we are going to close the sessions. So yes, that is what I want to say. And welcome to DurgaSoft. And please, when DurgaSoft people are calling you, please answer the call. If you are interested, say interested. If you are not interested, say not interested. If you don't lift the call, what happens there means we will have some, what I can say, we don't find any answer from you, then I don't understand whether they are interested or not. So please lift the call, and if you are interested, join the course. And if you are not interested, please say them we are not interested. That's fine. We don't have any problem if you say that also. But the problem is if you don't lift the call, if you don't provide the response, that will be very, very hectic for us. Okay, again and again we need to make the calls, and that will be a disturbance for you, and that will be an extra burden for the management also. So if you are interested, pick up the call and say that we are interested, and you won't get any another call from DurgaSoft. If you are not interested, pick up the call and say that you are not interested, so that the candidates or else the persons who are calling you will not call you again. So my request from my end is that pick up the call and answer the call and say them whatever your feedback is, that please say them, so that we will be very happy to go with the flow. Okay, that is the only request from my end. So that's all for today. So have a nice day. We'll meet in the next session, discuss more on AWS concepts. Have a nice day and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.